Sienna wailed. He started with one little puff and ended up selling his dentures for a rock. Everyone calls him Peaches now. I will not have a child named Peaches. They waited for DJ to come home, like a pair of frantic inquisitors. When the boy walked in, glowing with the pride of an A on his math test, he was met with a wall of parental hysteria. "Where's the stash, DJ?" Sienna demanded, brandishing a stack of library books on teen addiction. "Are there weeds in your family foundation? Is there crack in your soul?" "Mom, what are you talking about?" DJ asked, backing away. "I just got an A. I'm flying high on geometry." "Flying high?" Dante roared. "You hear that, Sienna? He's using the lingo." The drama reached its zenith when Mama Bea, the longtime housekeeper and the only person in the house with a functioning sense of reality, walked into the kitchen. She looked at the plastic bag, then at the hysterical parents, and then at the confused teenager. "Give me that," Mama Bea said, snatching the bag. "That's mine." The room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop on the thick Persian rug. "Mama B?" Sienna whispered. You're Peaches?" "No, you dramatic woman," Mama Bea sighed. "I didn't want to tell you all, because I knew you'd turn it into a 3-act opera." Dante and Sienna looked at each other, the shame washing over them in a cold wave. "We are so sorry, Mama Bea," Dante said softly. "We had no idea." "Of course you didn't," she grumbled. "You were too busy planning a funeral for DJ's teeth. Now, get out of my kitchen. I have work to do, and I'm not doing it while you two are staring at me like I'm a high-altitude balloon." Chapter 4. The Gay Best Friend Gambit. A week later, the tension had shifted from drugs to jealousy. Julian was handsome, charming, and possessed the kind of jawline that made other men feel inadequate. "He's staying with us for a few days," Sienna announced to Dante. Dante narrowed his eyes. "A man named Julian in my house? With his jawline?" Sienna rolled her eyes. "Oh, stop it. Julian is, he's team-spirited. He's not interested in women. Dante, he's my gay best friend from college. We used to go shoe shopping and talk about feelings." "I know." Dante relaxed slightly. "Oh, well, if he's team-spirited, then fine. He can stay." But Dante's friends, Jax and Xavier, weren't buying it. "Bro," Jax said during a commercial break at the studio. "I know Julian. We went to the same gym in Atlanta. That man is as straight as a laser beam. He's a legendary player. He's been shoe shopping with half the married women in the tri-state area." Dante's blood began to boil. "She lied to me? She told me he was gay, so I wouldn't worry?" "It's a classic move," Xavier added. Dante decided on a counter-offensive. That night, when Julian arrived, Dante was waiting with a friend of his own, Big Frank, the head of security from the studio. Big Frank was 6'5", weighed 300 pounds, and had just had his back waxed. "Julian," Dante boomed, throwing an arm around the terrified visitor. "Sienna told me everything. We are so supportive of your lifestyle in this house. In fact, I've set you up on a date tonight, with Big Frank here." Julian looked at Big Frank, who gave him a wink that could have shattered glass. A date? Frank just got out of a long-term relationship," Dante continued, his voice dripping with mock sincerity. "He's looking for someone sensitive, someone who likes to cuddle and spoon. He's also spent some time in prison for crimes of passion, but don't let that bother you." Julian turned pale. "Sienna, can I talk to you in the kitchen?" The truth came out in a flurry of whispers and frantic explanations. Julian confessed he wasn't gay. Sienna confessed she'd lied to avoid an argument. And Big Frank confessed he actually wouldn't mind going to a movie if Julian was buying. "Men and women can be friends," Sienna shouted, trying to regain the moral high ground. "Sure they can," Dante said. "But they don't have to lie about which team they're playing for to do it. Now, Julian, if you're staying here, you're sleeping on the couch, and Big Frank is staying in the guest room. Just to keep things balanced." Chapter 5. The Proposal Pandemonium. The grand finale of the Obsidian Heights saga took place at a dinner party hosted by Sienna. The goal was to fix up their perennially single friend, Camille, with one of Dante's friends. Camille arrived looking like a woman prepared for war. If you bring me one more nice guy who turns out to be a foot fetishist or a conspiracy theorist. Sienna, I'm burning this house down next. The candidates were Billy, a high school football coach, and Scotty, a police officer. Everything was going smoothly until Tiffany, Xavier's ex-wife and Dante's former flame, arrived uninvited. Tiffany was the kind of woman who treated every social gathering as a red carpet event for her own ego. "Oh, look at this little party," Tiffany purred, eyeing the buffet. "Sienna, dear, is that store-bought gumbo? How quaint." The tension in the room was palpable. Camille was being ignored by the men, who were too busy trying to impress Tiffany. Meanwhile, Xavier was contemplating a proposal to his current girlfriend, Sloane. But he was paralyzed by the fear of a prenuptial agreement. "A prenup is a setup for failure," Tiffany shouted from across the room, having overheard Xavier's whispered conversation. "If you don't trust her with your bank account, how can you trust her with your heart?" "You took half my bank account in the divorce, Tiffany," Xavier reminded her. "And my boat." The evening descended into chaos. Camille, fed up with being the charity case, stood up and gave a speech that would be remembered in Obsidian Heights for decades. "I am a grown woman," she declared, pointing a finger at the terrified football coach. "I don't need to be fixed up. I am fabulous, I am wealthy, and I hold my own man down when I have one. You bitch-ass dudes wouldn't know what to do with a queen if she sat on your lap. I'm leaving, and I'm taking the gumbo with me." As Camille swept out, Xavier finally dropped to one knee in front of Sloane. "Sloane," he stammered, "I don't have a ring. I don't have a prenup, but I have a lot of feelings and a slightly used boat I'm trying to win back in court. Will you marry me?" Sloane looked at him, then at the smoking gumbo, then at Sienna, who was currently trying to restrain Big Frank from eating the centerpiece. "Ask me again when you're not drunk on drama, Xavier," Sloane said, patting his cheek. "But keep the boat. I like the boat." Epilogue. The Larry White Encore. Late that night, after the guests had fled and the house was quiet, Dante and Sienna sat on the edge of their bed. The thin walls were silent for once. "We are a mess, aren't we?" Sienna asked, leaning her head on Dante's shoulder. "A beautiful, expensive, high-speed train wreck," Dante agreed. "I'm sorry about the car, Dante. And the suits. I'm sorry about Big Frank. Although he and Julian actually seemed to hit it off at the end." Sienna laughed, a genuine, warm sound. She reached over and pressed a button on the bedside docking station. A low, rumbling bass line filled the room. The smooth, orchestral swell of a 1970s soul classic began to vibrate through the floorboards. "Is that?" Dante asked, a grin spreading across his face. "Barry White," Sienna whispered, or as DJ calls him, Larry. Down the hall, DJ sighed and pulled a pillow over his head. "Here we go again," he muttered to himself. "The walls are definitely too thin. But hey, at least they aren't burning anything tonight." In Obsidian Heights, the drama never truly ended. It just went into syndication. And as the velvet voice of Barry White crooned about love and ecstasy, the Sterlings finally found their frequency, at least until Monday morning. The end. The Everglade Heights Entanglement. A comedic novel of manners, manicures, and misunderstandings. Chapter 1. The acoustic betrayal of Suite 502. The walls of the Darlington luxury residences were marketed as sound, muffled architectural marvels. In reality, they were constructed from what 14-year-old Leo Thorne suspected was compressed cereal boxes and optimistic thoughts. Leo sat at the breakfast bar, methodically pushing a soggy oat hoop around a bowl of lukewarm milk. Across from him, his father, Elias Thorne, a sports broadcaster whose ego possessed its own zip code, was staring intensely at a piece of burnt sourdough. "You're doing it again, Dad," Leo said, not looking up. Elias blinked, his jaw tightening. "Doing what?" I'm pretending everything is fine, but actually, I'm calculating the cost of a divorce lawyer face," Leo replied. "It's not a good look. It makes your eyebrows do that weird twitchy thing." Elias sighed, dropping the toast. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm perfectly calm.